Not now. Peace, y'all. What's the call? 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 You say free them all and free Mumia Abu-Jamal. We thank y'all for getting here today, for being with us today. We thank you all for joining us for a very important evening and a very important birthday. This is a day that we've all recognized to be one of the most important days this year as we go into next year, a year that's found us trying to find our way towards freedom and liberation for a very dear brother of ours and Mumia Abu-Jamal, one of the most important political figures that we've certainly seen around the world. He is somebody that we've loved, somebody who we've cared for, somebody who we've advocated for, and ultimately somebody who's advocated for us. Is that right? So today is going to be a continuation of that work to not only free Mumia Abu-Jamal, but to raise up the issues that Mumia has championed for the better part of the last 42 years, to bring out those issues that he's been talking about on his commentaries by way of prisonradio.org, and also by way of you all, the things that you all have done as independent activists, organizers, thinkers, concerned citizens, and revolutionaries. We thank you. We thank you. So give it up for yourselves. We want to thank all of the folks who traveled near and far to be here today. Those who found themselves here from New York City. Raise it up for y'all. New York. All right. I think we got even some Jersey or Delaware in the house. All right, all right, all right. Massachusetts in the house? Right. Show them some love. Florida in the house. Let's go, Florida. Let's go. And it's beautiful. And Philadelphia's here, right? And so, we got Vermont here too? Vermont's here? All right. So I'm about to say, we got France here. France is here, right? Where's our French folks here? Where are our French folks? We also got Chairman Fred here from Chicago. And I want to say this, when it comes to organizing events, it's truly an honor and a pleasure. This movement as a city and as a history is led by women, is that right? By women? Women have been the backbone of our movement. And so it gives me pleasure. Sometimes there are people who are in your midst who are doing our work every day, who you realize from near and from far for their power, for their expertise, and for their commitment. So I just want to thank Ms. Saudia for being here today to co-host. You see Ms. Saudia with the Abolition School, W.E. Du Bois Abolition School. You've seen her in the past through the Philly Student Union in Philadelphia. Just been a magnificent organizer now with the Investment Project. But ultimately, she is a freedom fighter at the end of the day. And so I'm grateful for your energy and for your spirit. As folks continue to come on in from next door, hopefully you all enjoyed the food. But more importantly, as folks make their way in, if you see an empty seat next to you, please either A, take your bag off of it, and B, if you can, make space for it, right? And so as people are coming in, please make space for folks to sit next to you. That would be wonderful. Of course, before we get started officially, I'm gonna pass it over to my sister Saudia. We wanna thank the pastor and first gentleman here at the Waters Memorial AME Church. Thank you. I see first gentleman Ajane in the back. We got Pastor Stephanie as well. We thank you really eternally for your work and your agreement on this effort. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us. So I'm going to pass it over to you to introduce our libation to get us started.
All right, peace. What's the call? What's the call? Right on. Very grateful to be here and to be in space with folks, and it would never be right to start an event, right, where we're talking about the action and the organizing to free our political prisoners, to free Mumia, to free Kamal, to free Leonard, right, to free them all, if we did not start with looking back at our ancestors and honoring them, right, calling them into this room, calling the energy, the shoulders that we've been built on, the ancestors and the elders who keep us connected, who give us the blueprint, who give us the constellation and the stars of where we want to be and how we want to show up. So I would love to introduce our amazing and fashionable, okay, Elder Mama Maisha. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. I'm honored to be asked to do this required cultural practice when we gather. We're supposed to do this every time we gather in all types of settings, remembering those who came before us. Because of them, we can gather, right? And because we struggle, those who, once we become ancestors, they'll be able to gather. So I'm doing libation. Libation is a moral obligation of remembrance of those who came before us, our ancestors. And we too all will become ancestors one day. We can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. So we're modeling a cultural way of how we can do this, right? All cultures have ways of remembering those who came before them, but in the African tradition, we do it in a very relational way. We do it daily. We remember not just those big and famous, but those of our bloodline, because they too deserve to be remembered. So libation is saying sacred words, remembering with sacred words, using sacred water, and honoring sacred people, because all humans are sacred, right? And so the importance of remembering them as sacred. And because we are losing that concept that humans are sacred, you see so much death and destruction in the world. So we have to lift up this concept that all humans are sacred beings, right? All life on the planet is sacred, right? So libation is pouring. It's a sacred remembrance of those who came before us, saying sacred words to honor them, right? And using water, which is sacred. We wouldn't exist without it. It's because of water we all exist on here, or the plants and everything, right? Other traditions pour everything. They pour wine, they pour different things, but we pour water because it's essential for life. So I'm pouring into the plant what represents the earth, right? We're giving back because it gives us so much. And you see some other symbols up here. I have a symbol from ancient Egypt represents life is eternal, that even though you're gone, your spirit and your energy is still here. And then I have another thing. This is a memory board that comes from Burkina Faso. This is how the people remember their stories. It's almost like a braille board. But just people are trained to read this, and every little notch tells the history of a particular people, a particular family. So memory and remembrance is important, and that's why we do libation. And then I have a candle I'm laying because we bring in light, right? We lifting up the light that lasts. We lifting up the energy that's needed so that we can free Mumia and all the other ones, right? So I'm pouring into the plant. And we always start with, for those who honor a tradition that there is a creator, there's a divine force in the universe, known by many names, right? Call out some of the names that people have recognized there's a divine. And the beauty of hearing all those beautiful names, but also think about the names we will never hear because those people were wiped off the face of the earth. The beautiful way that people recognize that there's a divine force in the universe that causes all of these things to happen that brought us here. So please call out those names. Ashe, 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 Ashe. Please call out the names of those, because we're here, we're struggling, right? I want you to call out the names of the warrior women, the warrior men who struggle to have justice in the world, right? Ashe. 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 I want you to call out call out the names of your relatives, your bloodline, because truly because of them we are here. And you call out their names because they're not going to have streets named after them and buildings named after them, but they still need to be remembered and held dear and seen as sacred also. So call out the names of those in your bloodline. Asha. 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 Call out the names of those in your social family, your communal family who are no longer here, the ones who looked out for you, the ones who had high expectations of your teachers, your neighbors, the people who wanted more for you, was always there for you. They may have gotten on your nerves when you was younger. They knew all your business and all that because they cared. You know, so I'm going to start calling out for Miss Barnes because she kept me in check when I was coming up down here in South Philly. Miss Barnes. I'm ending this libation pour. Ashe. Ashe just is saying we want what we're saying. We want to give it energy. We want it to be. So I'm ending this libation pouring for the unborn, those on their way here. They're traveling here now. The ancestors are sending them to us, right? And in the tradition of the Yoruba, we just keep coming back. You know, we don't come back like a frog or something else. We keep coming back as humans, and we keep getting sent back until we make this world a better place for all. So you just keep getting recycled, you know? So the unborn are on their way here. The ancestors are sending them to us, right? And we're pouring for them to say that we're going to make sure when they come, we have reduced some of the struggles they have, right? We should have reduced some of them. We're not going to get rid of all of them because life is a struggle. But we should have reduced some. And we're going to pour and lift up that we're going to make sure that there's more love for them when they enter here, right? That there's more love for them. There's more creativity. There's more freedom for them. So we end the libation with a commitment to the unborn who'll be joining us. They're on their way as we speak right now. And that we struggle in this room to make this world a better place for them because they're going to join us in the struggle of freeing those political prisoners that happens in their time because we're leaving a legacy of our caring for political prisoners. So we're going to pour for the unborn. Ashe? Ashe? Ashe. Thank you.
All right, give it up, give it up, give it up. What's the call? What's the call? What's the call? So thank you for that amazing grounding in the spirit of the ancestors, which we must always carry with us, right? Because we see Mumia as representing our past, our present, and our future, right? Knowing that he, along with so many freedom fighters, have sacrificed so much, sacrificed time, right? Sacrificed all the privileges, all the things that we interact with under this capitalist, imperialist environment, right? Sacrificing being in community with us. We know our ancestors did that as well because they knew what they wanted us to experience, they would not get to themselves, right? A world where we're seeing our young folks, right, in movement spaces, our communities. We know that it is because of the continuous spirit of the ancestors who have made these sacrifices and these contributions that moments like this matter so much to be in community together. And we're excited now, right, to ground ourselves in the history of Mumia, one of the folks who we see as a lighthouse for Philadelphia in national and international movement building, right? Someone who, while the Black Panther Party chapters were being established in other cities from the West Coast, Northeast, Midwest, Chicago, right? Thinking about Chairman Fred Hampton, right? Thinking about all the cities that were experimenting to build something revolutionary and different. Mumia was doing that work for us here in Philadelphia, right? He built abolition before we started using that term or thinking about defund or divest. He thought about what it would be like to have a world in Philadelphia community, right, where we felt powerful in the spirit of rebellion and resistance. We want freedom. It is my personal ministry at home. And it's something that I just want to lift up, right, where Mumia talked about representing the legacy of the Black Panther Party on 1928 West Columbia Avenue, where the local party built leaflets, gave out 10,000 leaflets every day, had an office space for folks to look to the Black Panthers, to see the powder blue and black colors, to see posters of Huey, Malcolm, Shea, right? All the folks who we know represent global, right, anti-imperialist, decolonizing movement building. So it would make only the most sense to have an amazing author, right, of the young lords to come here and to ground us in that history. So please give the warmest welcome to Johanna Fernandez. Thank you.
All right, I heard you guys had an incredible demonstration. It really is an honor to be here tonight. 56 years ago, at the height of an era of wars, revolutions, and social movements against colonial rule, against white supremacy, patriarchy, and capitalist exploitation the world over, the American ruling class and its junior partners around the world began to wage an unrelenting war of repression against those who had taken back their communities, workplaces, and colonized countries. They waged war against Black Panthers and Young Lords, against the American Indian movement, against the Sandinistas in Nicaragua, against the Union movement in the United States, the IRA in Ireland, against Umkhonto we Sizwe in South Africa, against the Palestinian Liberation Organization, and many other social movements and revolutions that were dreaming up a world without war, a world organized around human need, equality, and radical love. The ruling class orchestrated the assassination of our leaders, of Fred Hampton, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, George Jackson, and the imprisonment of freedom fighters Angela Davis, Leonard Peltier, Jamil Al-Amin, Dhoruba bin Wahad, the Move 9, Sekou Odinga, Assata Shakur, Che Guevara, Chelsea Manning, and Julian Assange. The rulers turned the case of Mumia Abu-Jamal into a show trial to send a message to future generations of radicals about the consequences of dissent. They also destroyed our unions, decimated our wages, obliterated healthcare and mental health services, raided an already anemic social safety net here in the United States, gentrified affordable housing, and without a care in the world for the environmental apocalypse that awaits us, they eviscerated OSHA. Fearing uprisings and by the downtrodden, fearing uprisings of the downtrodden in this context, they built and filled unprecedented numbers of prisons with Black and brown and working people. They expanded their Darth Vader police forces. They built cop cities and continue to grow and deploy their monstrous war chest. In the last 50 years, the United States has relied on Israel to contain rebellion the world over, to train and arm the most brutal militias and governments around the globe that are critical to maintaining the violent chaos that facilitates Western mineral extraction and capitalist control of entire regions of the world. Israel armed the South African apartheid regime. Israel armed and trained the militias in Uganda and Rwanda, responsible for the past and present genocides in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Israel protected the killers of Patrice Lumumba. Israel armed the brutal Shah of Iran, trained and armed the Contras in Nicaragua, and the death squads in Central America and Guatemala that were putting down poor people's uprisings across the region in the 1980s. Israel training led to the killing of 200,000 indigenous people in Guatemala in a 10-year period. And we know that for 2 decades, the Israeli Defense Forces have trained US police in racial profiling and violent suppression of protest. This is why the United States has provided aid worth more than $124 billion to Israel. The world is on the side of Palestinians because Israel's attempt to pulverize Gaza is a microcosm of the terror the world's ruling class has inflicted on the globe for over 50 years. It is the battle of David and Goliath, the battle of the displaced against settlers who must dehumanize the displaced in order to justify their annihilation and permanent dispossession of indigenous people from their lands. As Malcolm X told us 50 years ago, quote, "The Palestinian struggle is a moral battle, a universal fight, a resonating echo of the battles waged by oppressed people across the globe." And now Columbia students have created a prairie fire, and the university is now considering calling the National Guard to quash an epic student uprising against a genocide that's being live-streamed on social media, but that is being denied by every major American institution and by the US press. The images we've seen of student uprisings spreading across the country and around the world is the moment we've been waiting for. It's the moment of radicalization when a whole generation sees that we cannot solve the crisis of homelessness here, nor can we fund education or healthcare, nor can we fix our bridges or the New York subway for that matter, but the US Congress can bankroll, as it did yesterday, a war bill to the tune of $95 billion to finance Israel's genocide against the poorest population on earth, one that Israel is already starving. It's the moment we see, this is the moment we see, a moment when we see that all of our struggles are connected, when we see that the liberation of Palestinians is tied up with the freedom of Mumia and Peltier and the emancipation of the human race. This is the moment when we determine to take back our society, our communities from the predations of our rulers. There is no better way to celebrate Mumia's birthday than to stand in the tradition he committed his life to long ago, and that is the tradition of revolutionary liberation. Free Mumia, free Palestine, free the human race, an end to colonialism and capitalism, and it's till victory and freedom for Peltier and Mumia this year. Thank you.
From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. You know, I was reading a couple of months ago. Yes. Heard you. Amazing. Yes. Right? I was reading a couple of weeks ago, Black Power in Palestine, right? And the work, right, that our revolutionaries were doing in the 60s to raise awareness of the need to have global solidarity for our comrades in Palestine, right? Reading Malcolm X and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, grappling with these same struggles and challenges, right? Of how do we politicize, educate, strategize together as Black and brown oppressed people? To see that the same oppression we experience here in the US, we know our comrades over the seas experience as well, right? So our resistance and our struggle to fight is interlocked. It can't be separated, right? And it's amazing when we see, right, the connections that are being made. When we think about Mumia, when we think about some of our elders who have become ancestors like Matulu, right? Mutulu Shakur, a community member, teaching folks how to treat themselves because we know a racist, capitalist, imperialist healthcare system could not take care of us, could not treat us, but our people could. Who keeps us safe? Who keeps us safe? Who keeps us safe? Seats. There are seats if people are looking for seats.
Once again, raise your hand if you have a seat next to you. Yeah, raise your hand if you have a seat next to you. So if there are people who are right now waiting, please make your way inside. That'd be wonderful. Thank you so much. Just raise your hand, keep your hands raised, and our folks who are outside will find their way inside. Thank you so much for doing that. We want to make sure that everybody's comfortable. So once again, if you are waiting to get a seat, please, if you can't, take your bag out of your chair, and folks will make their way to your seat. I think we're good to go. Thank you so much. Hands down.
All right, that's right. Make space, take space. All right, so coming next to the microphone, we know we did a shout out to the different cities, Florida, Vermont, maybe, New York, right? What we want to do is bring up a comrade from New York City who's been doing this work to free Mumia and to make sure that Philly is not alone, right, in the camaraderie in doing that. So please welcome Suzanne Ross.
Greetings. It's absolutely wonderful to be here this whole day and to be with all of you and to celebrate not only Mumia's birthday, but the incredible, incredible resistance that is coming up from the younger generation at this moment. It is absolutely astounding. So, Mumia, even at this moment on his 70th birthday and his 43rd year of incarceration, remains at the center, at the intersection of so much of what's happening in the world, from the abolition movement in this country to the genocide in Palestine. It is really, people used to always ask, how does he know all that stuff? When he was on death row and in isolation for close to 30 years and knew so much more than most of us did, you know, just from reading newspapers and so on. And maybe you'd have to say that there's something good about not reading the newspapers and the media of this country and keeps you more educated if you stay away from it. In the last 2 days, I've been working with some Columbia students to try to get Mumia to speak to them. They really wanted to hear Mumia speak to them. And Mumia and I have missed each other, a lot of things have gone wrong and it hasn't happened. And it depends when the students actually get kicked out, leave, or whatever, but hopefully we'll still get Mumia to speak to the students of Columbia. I happen to have been, and they want to hear his message of resistance and hope. That's what Mumia gives people all the time. And so these young students are making huge sacrifices, very courageous, and they want to hear Mumia. They want to hear that voice that gives so much inspiration and sets an example for resistance. I was thinking, I was at Columbia in 1968, at the big uprising in 1968. And one of the things that's interesting is it was much more disruptive, much more, the students there right now are being so polite. And, it's shocking to me coming there, but they really are doing it, and they have their own strategy and their own rationale. They're not doing it because they're idiots. They're doing it because it's a strategy. So in 1968, there was a very uncool president of the university. His name was Grayson Kirk. He was like this fool you could make fun of easily. And the students took over his office, and they showed all the junk that he kept in his drawers, and they were completely disrespectful. And he was a disaster for the university's public image. So they finally fired him. And they brought in someone who had worked for the United Nations and who seemed much more cool. And his name was Andrew Cordier. Andrew Cordier had been involved in the struggle to overthrow Lumumba in the Congo. Andrew Cordier was, I mean, the first guy was an idiot. And Andrew Cordier was much more dangerous, much slicker, and so on. And I know we used to, I wasn't in the buildings, I was outside, but I remember we used to chant all the time, hey, hey, Cordier, how many kids did you kill today? Because the Congo. So when you think about what's happening today, it didn't start today, as you know, obviously, and something like, you know, we talk about Haiti and we talk about the Congo and we talk about everything that's happening around the world. So I thought I would just mention this story about Colombia, that Colombia was absolutely vicious in throwing out the black community from Harlem at that time. Colombia was absolutely vicious in its international policy and work and everything and in fact, at the end, they were pushed by the students to set up much more reasonable, much more student-oriented rules, which now they just overturned all of it and moved all of it to the right to a much more repressive. So, and again, this woman who's president, you know, was in the, you know, London School of Economics, internationally involved in economic control of all the colonies and all the people of this world. So much about Colombia. What?
Land grabbing Colombia.
Yes, land grabbing Colombia, world grabbing Colombia. And at the time we learned, I was active in the anti-war movement, but I learned so much more from just being there night and day at Colombia about the military research, the research that was being done for the right-wing forces in Vietnam, for the United States in Vietnam. All of that you learned. I went to school forever. I never learned any of that in school. But staying there day and night at Columbia, I learned all this. And the student radio station had somebody named Mike Clare, who night and day used to be talking about the research that was showing up about Columbia's complete collaboration in the Vietnam War. By the way, the Columbia students won the struggle in 1968. The gym was never built in Harlem. The apartheid gym was never built in Harlem. And supposedly, I don't believe it, but supposedly the research on Vietnam ended. But superficially, at least, you'd have to say it looked like an amazing victory. So we fight Mumia's and other people's incarceration in U.S., I just want to go into the prison system for a minute and its implications internationally. We fight Mumia's and others' incarceration in U.S. prisons and around the world. Fascistic institutions meant to control rebellions and the struggles for self-determination, meant to isolate leaders from the masses of people. Institutions all critical, the prison system, to sustaining imperialism. If we talk for a minute about the most visible evidence of this, of course, is Israel today. And I'm an anti-Zionist Jew. And a survivor of the Holocaust, the Nazi Holocaust. So that's the story. As many of you by now have figured out, Judaism is not the same as Zionism. Okay? Judaism is not the same as Zionism. So, the state of Israel, to the shock of many, has not only became a fascist state, really, especially, I mean, Israelis, Jewish people living in Israel, did not see that. They did not experience it. They didn't have the checkpoints. They weren't arrested. They weren't sent to prison night and day. Their land was not taken away. So if you talk to Israelis, and I had family there, they talked like idiots about what was happening. Total denial. But like in the United States, people in the United States often say, oh, there's no fascism in this country. And I've heard this debate over and over again where black people say, not for you, but for us, we have fascism, all the people in prison and so on and so on. Well, Israel is like that. Israel is a fascist state. But for many, many years, it was, it started as an imperial settled colonial nation. But it has become something that we haven't seen as much, which is genocide, a genocidal country. And the level of escalation from fascism, excuse me, thank you for reminding me of that, the level of escalation from fascism to genocide is significant. And it's significant because it's not just going to happen in Palestine. So we really have to watch this development very seriously. And the fact that they think they can get away with showing it night and day on Facebook and on all these forms, social media and all the stuff that we see in front of the whole world, millions of people around the world, and that the Israeli government thinks they can do this, and the United States can have this idiot president get up and say, oh yeah, we're trying to get them to be more reasonable. As he's arming the state of Israel. Exactly. So all of that and the number of children, the Nazi Holocaust, let me just say this, it hurts me to say it, but it's got to be said. The Nazi Holocaust was obviously horrendous, and it was genocide. But I have never seen in my lifetime, and I'm 86 years old, in my lifetime, I have never seen the targeting of children in the way that's going on in Palestine right now. The actual targeting to kill the children. I mean, children always died, but not where 14,000 children, 15,000 by today, 15,000 children, and children are born without any parents and immediately lose their limbs. And the targeting of children is something that I have never seen ever in the world like this. So, the state of Israel is a fascist state, now fully engaged in genocide, which is the final stage of fascism. I mean, fascism is not the end point. Nazi Germany also started with fascism and ended with a genocide. The struggle begins with incarceration, whether in the West Bank and Gaza or Mahanoy, Pennsylvania, moves on to fascism and finally to genocide. That's what we're seeing in front of our own eyes today. Our fight is from the river to the sea, for Palestine to be free, and for Mumia and all our political prisoners to be free. Happy birthday, Mumia. We love you. We love you and continue to stand with you till our people's victory. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. I think we have a very important person on the phone with us today right now. About to put him on live.
This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept this free call, press "Thank you for using Securus." You may start the conversation now.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey. Are you?
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Birthday to ya. Happy birthday.
It's hearing the voices of the people. And,
Wait, say that again?
If there's anything that makes me happy on this birthday is hearing the voices of the people. Because it's beautiful. It's wonderful. I appreciate it more than words can and say. And you know, I have a few words, I always do, but I'm almost speechless right now, just vibing on the people and enjoying y'all, the sound of all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all for being there. Thank you for always being there. Thank you for holding me up and helping me up when I get kicked down. And thanks for rumbling with me, and thanks for being who you are. Thanks for being there. I appreciate all of you, every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Do you have some words to share with us? We're gonna put.
I actually don't. I didn't write anything. I didn't have anything prepared. I just wanted to.
We don't want to put you to work on your birthday. Hold on, I've got your son here. We've got your son here.
Hey, I told him I talked to you earlier. You called me. I had to pull over. I just wanted to just let people know that we always appreciate not only what you can do physically, but also keeping the positive energy in the world, because we as a people will free our people. One of my father's words is that he believed the people will ultimately free him, not a court. We won't force them, but the people will. Love you, Dad. Happy birthday.
That sounds like my boy, don't it? That sounds like my son. You sound better than your old man, son. Well done. Well done.
Mumia, we got Pam who's just walked in. Do you have any words of solidarity for Pam and for the people of Palestine? We had an incredible march in Philadelphia. The French are here. People from Boston, from Detroit, from New York, Sekou, Sundiata Acoli.
Beautiful.
Wadia's children are here.
That's right.
Woo! Wadia's children are here.
That's right. Beautiful. I love you all. Never forget that. I love you all. Thank you.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Illinois. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Hey, Mumia.
Hey, fam.
All right.
Hey, sister.
Okay, you got another part of your crew coming up here. I'm going to back off, okay?
Ab, it's Issa.
Hey, son.
Hey, happy birthday. I mean, it
birthday,
ain't happy.
Mumia. It's Ice.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hey, baby.
We miss you, and we just wanted to say we love you on your birthday and every day.
Happy
Thank you,
birthday.
baby.
This is from
Thank you. I love
Jade.
you every day, too.
You know we love you. Stand strong always.
Wawa was your biggest supporter. You already know that.
I knew that. Guess what? Don't nobody know what I know it, huh?
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. It's great hearing y'all voices. You hear me?
Always, Ab. You know that.
We love you. Stand strong.
Love you too. Love you too. Love you, Ice.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Love you, Ice, he said. Mumia, Palestine is, Chairman Fred is here. Palestine is the issue of the hour. What do you have to tell us about Palestine?
This is their time. And that, when radical moments come around, we must grasp it with both hands. And when we see the carnage, the mega death that's been visited on the occupied territories of Palestine, it's time for us to raise our voices and to speak truth to power, but really speak out against this massive punishment against the people for daring to fight for their freedom, to fight for their land. When I think about Palestinians, I think about the indigenous people of the United States.
This is a call
America.
from
I think about-
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Mahanoy. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
I think about so-called Native Americans, because it really is the same dynamic, because Israel and the United States are settler colonial states. And they came to take the land from the people, right? In both situations. And they're trying to do that in Palestine the same way they did it over hundreds of years in the United States. Listen, how can it be that the indigenous people of the United States, the original people in what's now called the United States, live in reservations, in poverty? That's, and the ghettos of Gaza, right, are too big for the appetite of the Israelis and the invaders. They want to put them on reservations or wipe them out. Do not get it twisted. So now is the time to speak out and speak up and stand with the oppressed of Gaza, the West Bank, the occupied territory. Just did a commentary a few days ago about blacks in Palestine. Don't get that twisted. Our people are there and have been there for several centuries in Palestine. There are black Palestinians over there.
That's right.
And they get bombed like everybody else. So remember, when the people are oppressed, it's their duty to fight for freedom. So long live the freedom of the Palestinian people.
Woo!
Free Congo, free Sudan, free Haiti. Mumia.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mumia. We love you.
Love you all.
I got to talk to you. Don't hang up.
Give it up, y'all, again, y'all, for Mumia Abu-Jamal. Let them hear your voice. Let them hear your voice. Let them hear it, let me hear it, let them hear it, let them hear it, let them hear it. Louder, 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 louder. When I tell you, every time we have Mumia Abu-Jamal's voice, it is a powerful moment, is that right? It is a great opportunity just to hear brilliance, intelligence at play and at work. You know, he is somebody who, like I said earlier, has been really our North Star in many ways for black liberation, and in many ways articulates and demonstrates all the brilliance and dragons we got in the prisons, as George Jackson once said. First of all, thank you for participating in that and giving him his love, because we know on his birthdays sometimes it can be challenging. And as Mumia has always said, there are cellmates of his and friends of his on the inside who don't get this on their birthdays, right? And so we want to acknowledge them as well. We want to acknowledge all those. Give them up, make them some noise, y'all. You may not know them, but they're on the inside. They're at SCI Mahanoy, SCI Green, right? They up CFCF State Road, right? All the prisons across the world need our love, right? When we say free them all, we don't say free some. We don't say free a few. We don't say free one. Is that right? We say free them all. Is that right? We say free them all. So we're going to keep this thing moving. But thank you very much again for being here today. With that being said, I want to bring up our brother. You know, if I say reclaim Osage, y'all say reclaim Osage. Reclaim Osage. Reclaim Osage. Reclaim Osage. And there's going to be a book coming out this year called On the Move that is going to be talking about this legacy, this rich legacy. As I bring up our brother Mike Africa Jr., I also want to acknowledge who's in the house tonight. We also have Ramona Africa here today as well. Janet and Janine Africa are here today as well. So show love to them, please. I believe they're downstairs. Show love to Ramona Africa, Janet and Janine. But if you can, please, and Eddie's here too. Shout out to Eddie Africa, y'all. Shout out to Eddie Africa, y'all. Peace to Eddie. And all the move now have been released, all right? Oh, okay, I see it now. I see it on the back. Okay, stand up if you can. If you're able to stand, please stand, please. If you're able to stand. There it is, there it is, there it is. Let's go. Janet, Janine, and Eddie, y'all. Show them some love. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for missing y'all. With that being said, family, I want to bring up my brother and yours, Mike Africa Jr., y'all. Hard work. Hard work.
Hard work. On the move, y'all.
Long live revolution. Long live John Africa. Long live Mumia Abu-Jamal. Long live the spirit of resistance. And free Palestine. And the Congo. Come on. Free them all. And Haiti. And Haiti. And we can do this all day. And we're going to have to. We're going to have to do this all day. We're going to have to do this all week, all year, all month, all summer, all winter, all decade. We're going to keep on fighting until we're free. What happened? Okay.
Real quick, sorry about that. If your license plate is LWT 4184, please attend to your car, please, outside. All right?
It's a Subaru.
Take care of that. It's a Subaru, right? LWT 4184. I'm going to say it one more time. LWT 4184. The folks are going to do what they do. Be good? Thank you.
Good catch.
See?
Okay. Now, look here, y'all. I had a whole list of things that I wanted to talk about when Gabe called me and asked me to speak. And when I heard Mumia, all those thoughts went out of my mind. And now I don't know what to say. You know, I made a post on Facebook today about birthdays and how people are supposed to celebrate those at home with their families and with their friends. And Mumia and so many other people are not allowed to do those things because of the system and the power and also the danger in people telling their own stories or just telling the truth about something. Telling the truth is a very dangerous thing. On May 13th, 1985, when the government dropped that bomb, they killed 11 people. 13 people were bombed and shot at, and some were shot, and some were burned, and they were thrown back into the fire. And people talked about those things, and they were targeted by the government for speaking about them. And before that, when Moo's house was raided in Powelton, some of y'all remember that, saw that barrage of police gunfire shooting at my family, at the Moo family. And they saw the police beat Delbert. They kicked him so hard they lifted him up in the air. This is long before Rodney King. And Delbert survived that beating. And Mumia talked about that beating. And he didn't do what some of the other journalists were doing, which was speaking the narrative that Frank Rizzo, racist Frank Rizzo, baby-killing Frank Rizzo, wanted to talk about. He spoke the truth. We went to Holmesburg Prison. He went to the House of Correction, and instead of just saying move, spouted their usual rhetoric, he said, move, what do you have to say? And he let Move talk. And then instead of editing what Move said, he just played what Move said. And that was a problem. That was a problem for Frank Rizzo, because Frank Rizzo wanted Move silenced. They didn't want the teaching of John Africa to be a public thing, because when you hear the truth, when you hear John Africa talk about these injustices in the system, it makes sense. And people are compelled to resist this injustice. Just like when the Black Panthers talked about these issues, people were compelled to listen and they were rising up. And then COINTELPRO, this whole COINTELPRO, how many pages do COINTELPRO have on Mumia Abu-Jamal? And what is COINTELPRO's process? Any potential black messiah find a way to discredit them, to dissuade the support that they may accrue. And if there's any misdeeds in their background with women or men or finances, find a way to bring that out. Use the news media as a weapon And there are hundreds of pages in COINTELPRO specifically about Mumia Abu-Jamal. One of the times I visited Mumia, he said J. Edgar Hoover, director of the FBI, used to ride past him while he was with his wife, his pregnant wife, and he would point at her belly. Mumia's been a target. When he was a 14-year-old, he was a member of the Black Panther Party writing articles talking about the injustices. You know, Mumia has such a rich history of advocacy. And some of the people that we know of today, that we hear, that we write about, that we read about, that are being taught in these schools, like Cecil B. Moore, who was Mumia's first attorney in a case where Mumia was attacked by a police officer and he was totally innocent, did nothing wrong. Mumia embodies freedom and professionalism in his journalistic approach. And because he's honest in his writings, he is the biggest threat that any journalist has ever been. And this is why it's important to free him. Because if we don't have the truth, what do we have? We got, isn't it incredible that in a nation of 336 million people, the best that they have to offer as our leaders is Genocide Joe and Dump Truck. Listen, it's pathetic. They should be ashamed of themselves. But see, here's the thing. It would take a derelict like those two people to see what's happening in Palestine and continue to do it. Any normal red-blooded American wouldn't do anything that way. But this is what we have. And because Mumia is one that would speak out about these injustices, and he, oh man, with his voice, when he start talking and people hear his voice, they don't even have to hear what he said, they just fall in love with his voice. Oh my God, did you hear what he said? And it's just powerful, and therefore it moves people to attention. And then when they recognize that this man is speaking the truth, it's even more moving, and it makes him even more dangerous. And that's why it's important to free him. The first time I ever visited Mumia, I was on a prison trip. Pam took me, where'd Pam go? Pam took me to see my dad, who was a prisoner, was part of the Move 9. He's free now. And at the time, I was a rapper, aspiring artist. And I wrote a song, I think it was called On the Move. And Mumia heard it, and he said, when you finish with that one, write another one. And then he said, when you finish with that one, write another one. And I said, what you gonna do? He said, I'm gonna write one myself. It's called Live from Death Row. Remember that book? Live from Death Row. And he said, Mike, it is so important to tell your own story. Recently, within the last few years, he told me I should write a book. And I've been working on that. And I wrote a book published by HarperCollins. It's coming out August 6th, and it's called On the Move. I only hope to be able to follow in Mumia Abu-Jamal's footsteps to tell the truth. That's what it's about. It is so important for us to tell our own stories, because when Hollywood tells your story, when Kitty Caparella tells your story, when these journalists who have agendas to support the system to line their pockets, they don't tell your story the way your story is or needs to be told. So you gotta write your own story, and you gotta take control of the narrative. And that's what Mumia Abu-Jamal is about, taking control of the narrative. There's another thing we got going on. 40 years of the bombing is coming up. After this May, there's another May. And there's a lot of activity going to be happening. But one thing that we're trying to do, like I said, we're trying to tell our own story and preserve the legacy. So we created this thing called the Move Archive. And the purpose of it is to collect and gather Move history and put it all in one place. For the last maybe 5 or 7 years, I've been working on that. And now I have some help from my sister, Dr. Crystal Strong. And we've been working on this, and this May, I have some flyers. This May, we're going to be doing our first exhibit to talk about Move from the old days. From my great uncle, John Africa, started the organization, and we're going to be talking about him and why he started the organization and the lead up and where we are now. And you better believe our brother, Mumia Abu-Jamal, will be a part of that. We would not be where we are today without Mumia Abu-Jamal. And a lot of people wouldn't know about Move at all without Mumia Abu-Jamal. So we honor him, we respect him, and we love him for his work. And we want to bring him home as soon as possible so that he could be among his family and friends instead of guards. That's all I got, y'all. Free Mumia! Free Mumia! Free Mumia! On the move.
That's my brother. So Mike mentioned about the Black Panther Party. Mike mentioned about the Black Panther Party, is that right? And so we must always give salute to the mighty legacy of the Black Panther Party. Thank you, Panthers. I was told by my Panther comrades we don't say former Panthers, is that right? Ain't nothing former about it. Once a Panther, always a Panther, right? I said the real ones, ain't no former about it. And so we're gonna bring up some of our Panther comrades to speak truth to power. We're gonna get them speaking. We're gonna bring this collective right here. They ready to go? Let's come on out. We're gonna bring up Queen Mama Zinga. Then we're gonna bring up, we got some of the other comrades and some of the other elders who are gonna join. We got Sister Barbara Easley, Barbara Cox. We got Sister Regina Jennings. These have been people who should be your inspiration and ours, who have laid it all out on the line for many years. These are giants in our midst, family. We got Brother Shep here, who's always been on the front lines in New York City. Shout out to Brother Shep. I know, I'm not seeing him. And last, bring the Cubs up too. If the Cubs want to come up, come on Cubs, Panther Cubs. Come on through, if you're willing and able to come up, Panther Cubs. I'm gonna bring up this person last. I'm gonna let him sit for a little bit. But thank you, Chairman Fred. He spoke earlier at the rally, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. And somebody who's very important to the history of not only the Black Panther Party, but the Black Liberation Army. You hear him with Dr. Jared Ball often, and Kalonji and them on Black Power Media. Shout out to Black Power Media, y'all. All right. But we're talking about, in our opinion, the great comrade who is making his way up as well. We got, give it up, y'all, for Sundiata Acoli, y'all. I said give it up for Sundiata Acoli. Stand up, please, if you're able to stand. I want you to stand for Sundiata Acoli. Hands off Asada. Hands off Asada. Hands off Asada. And then we want to bring up our brother, as we said. I know. As I was saying, though, I wanted to bring him up last, and that's somebody who we love dearly, who came from a long way, miles and miles and miles and miles across the waters to be with us tonight. That's Daruba bin Wahad, y'all. Black Power. So, how we doing this? So we're gonna let Mama and Zinga and Jaruba provide the words, and then we'll keep moving. So I'm gonna give y'all the microphone, and then y'all can provide a few words for us.
Before me and Daruba speak about anything, we want everybody on this stage to say who they are and what chapter they represent.
Brother Shep, New York State Chapter, Harlem, Bronx. Brother Tyreek, I'm from the Brooklyn Chapter. Peace.
Regina Jennings, I was a Philadelphia girl, but I jumped a late plane to go to Oakland before they were Panthers in Philly. So I'm an East Oakland Panther.
All power to the people, black power to black people, Panther power to the vanguard. Ade Oba Tokumbo, Harlem Branch.
Barbara Easley Cox, Oakland, New York, Philadelphia, International Chapter of the Black Panther Party!
Sundiata Acoli. Harlem Chapter.
Step aside. Step aside.
Bill Brown, Philadelphia Chapter.
I'm the Panther Cub, daughter of Russell Maroon Shows out of Philadelphia. Woo.
I'm the daughter of Bilal Sunni Ali and Falani Sunni Ali of the Harlem Bronx Chapter, the notorious Harlem Bronx Chapter in New York.
I'm Dadiji Odinga, the son of Sekou Odinga from the Bronx Harlem Chapter, the notorious Bronx Harlem Chapter. Fred, my cousin Fred.
Right on. I'm honored and humbled to be here. I'm Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., son of Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton, also of Cool and Jerry for me, Deborah Johnson. Love, respect, power to the people. Right on.
I'm Nana Akuya Enum Oyemi Niamiche. I'm also AKA Patty Bird. You know, I'm all those. And when I answer to whatever someone is calling me, because my cubs over there, they call me Bad Baby. No matter where I am, if I hear somebody holler, Bad Baby, I said, them cubs, they ratting me out. But they be looking out for me. They be making sure that I'm all right and I'm safe. And I'm just proud for this moment that we're being honored. And I just want to say a few of these political prisoners' names. And if I don't say a political prisoner that you know, after I'm through, please shout out. Brother Alameen Jamal, J.O. Alameen, and Veronica Bowser, who will be out May 7th or 8th. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Zulu Whitmore, Kamal Siddiqui, Joseph Bowden, Ronald Reed. Anybody that y'all know that I'm missing?
Kwame Shakur, young brother from Indiana, Prison Lives Matter.
Free Mumia Abu-Jamal. And we're not talking about later, we're talking about right now. Right now. It's important, and we've got to keep the holler out. The people can move and move mountains. So let's move them. We need Mumia home. His health is not good, and we need him home where we can take care of him and put him back in good health. So I'm going to turn this over to my brother, and I'm going to stand here and get my brother's love.
Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people.
The power belongs to the people. Don't ask for it, take it. It's yours.
I just want to say briefly that my comrade Mumia Abu-Jamal, the brilliant writer, brilliant analyst and speaker who has spoken for the voiceless all of his young adult life until this very moment at 70 years old. Mumia has been a valuable asset to the liberation of African people in the diaspora. He is well known around the world. He is revered and loved by people, oppressed people everywhere. And it's because of the work of brothers and sisters like yourself and like my comrades here from the original Black Panther Party that Mumia's name still resonates. We have lost comrades in the last year. We have lost my beloved comrade, Sekou Odinga. Lee Barry, Blood McCrary. We have lost so many of our brothers and sisters. Some brothers and sisters can't be here today, like Jamal Joseph, like so many other brothers, Jaleel Mutakim. And my comrades, I just want to say to this, my generation is the last of the loud. And we have lived our time and we have fought our fight, but our fight is not over. And we are here today in our minds and bodies, as feeble and strong as they may seem and they may be. Nobody gets out this life alive. But the purpose that we are here for in this life, is the purpose that Allah put us here for, the Creator put us here for. And that we are the dreams of our ancestors who were brought over in chains. We were their dream. That one day they would rise up amongst them, a generation that would fight for our liberation and fight for our freedom and not give up that fight. And I'm honored to be here with comrades who walked that walk with me, who fought that fought with me, and who I would give my life for, and they would willingly have given theirs for me. But I want to say one thing right now, that we are living in a historical moment. Yes. These are crying times and these are liberating times. We cannot back down. We have to build a type of infrastructure and networks that will allow our people to feel their freedom, and we have to understand something. We had a saying in the Black Liberation Army whenever we went out on a mission, whenever we went out on a task. And we would look each other in the eye, and we would stand firm with each other. We'd check our weapons, and we say, blood to the horse's brow and woe to those who cannot swim. Blood to the horse's brow and woe to those who cannot swim. And what that meant was, once we stepped out that door, once we were committed to our struggle on the armed front, that we were taking no hostages, we were taking no prisoners, and those who couldn't swim, those who couldn't survive the wrath of the people, woe to them. Twyman Myers is not here. Frank Fields is not here. These are comrades that died in combat. Well, we have to understand, just like Hamas, you cannot take the liberation struggle away from a people and kill their will to survive and defend themselves and defend their people. So when we look at what's happening in Palestine right now, in this historical moment, they changed the whole paradigm of Western Asia. They were kicked under the rug and would have been forgotten. The United States had made agreements with bootlicking Arab governments to gloss over them, to abandon them, and to make peace with the European settler Zionist state of Israel. Israel is a European Zionist settler project. It's the last settler project that has started over 300 years ago. It's the last one. And they will go down just like the rest of these crackers will go down. But like Curtis Mayfield said, these Zionists, they know they're on their last leg. They know the world is turned against them and they reveal their hand to everybody. We have a new generation of young people that have taken to the streets, that have gotten out on the streets, that's being arrested now as we speak, all around the world. It's a new generation. So brothers and sisters, our job is to educate, to liberate. Our job is to make sure that these young folks have the type of guidance, have the type of confidence, and have the type of historical memory that they need in order to triumph in this historical moment, in this decline of U.S. imperialism and U.S. hegemony. The Sudan is facing a crisis far more extensive in human terms than what's happening in Palestine and the genocide. Almost 1 million people are on the verge of starvation. 20 million people have been displaced from their homes. And the major architects of this is the United Arab Emirates, who are supplying arms, and the United States is supplying arms to the United Arab Emirates to change the paradigm of the Sudan. We have to understand who our enemies are and give them no quarter. Give them no quarter. When they come out to speak, we should be there to smack them down, to yell them down, to shout them down. Don't let our enemies speak. They won't let us speak. They lock us up. Don't let them speak. We have to do more than just talk about organizing. We have to stand firm against the oppressors and against these ravagers and these pirates and these enemies of the sun. So I just want to say this in closing and let the program move on. Because this is my comrade Mumia's 70th birthday. He's a baby. He was a baby then. He was 15 then when he was a deputy lieutenant of information. He's a baby now. But he's our baby. And we will free him. And I will say one thing, that just like when Huey P. Newton was in prison, we had a saying say, free Huey or the sky's the limit. So we need to build an infrastructure. We need to build the type of organizations that could exact the consequence on this system, on these pigs, if they do not free our comrade, our brother. We can't just demonstrate. We have to understand what they have in plan for us. What they're doing in Palestine, they will do to us. So we need to make this clear. We need to train. We need to organize. We can't mourn, we have to organize. We have to build to win. We have to do all of these things that require our struggle and our sacrifice and our dedication. So I just want to say in ending, Sister just flashed the 1 minute silence, but you know, I don't usually recognize stuff like that. But I'm going to do this now out of courtesy because I got to get in the wind. But I just want to say I'm humbled to be here. I'm fortunate to be here, all the way from Africa. I'm here. And the comrades from the Ghana Socialist Party, they send their freedom in their struggle. The comrades from Paca send their freedom in their struggle. Back in the days when we were united with the Palestinian movement, when we had a functioning, unified alliance with the PFLP in 1967, in 1968, 1969, when one of the sisters here who was in the international section, she understood, daily she saw the movements that passed through the doors of the international section of the Black Panther Party. Well, we have to forge those alliances again. And right now in Vienna, brothers and sisters are taking to the streets to free Mumia, to call for an end to the genocide in Palestine. So we need to say in solidarity to all of these people, Power to the people, power to all of our people, and death to the fascist pigs. Power to the people.
On our way out, I want to hold up for 1 minute. I want to say something to the young people in this audience. I'm always asked, what can we young people do? We didn't have a blueprint, and y'all do have one because you have what we've struggled to do. So y'all get out there and make a name for yourself, do it your way, and come to any of us OGs, and we will give you advice and help you to work things out. I just want y'all to know that. We're here for you, but we are old people, and I want you to also pray for a lot of the elder Panthers that are ill. I won't call them out by name, but there are a lot of elder Panthers that are ill. So, young people, do you. Make your mark, and come call Auntie anytime you want.
There you go. Give it up again, y'all. Give it up again, y'all. Give it up again. Give it up again. Show them your love. Show them your love. Show them your love. Show them your love. We thank everybody for being here. That was a gigantic moment. I got you. Yep. We want to also acknowledge our movement lawyers who are in the room who helped free some of these people. I see Bob Boyle in the room. Shout out to Bob Boyle. Shout out to all the movement lawyers who've been on the front lines, who freed Dhoruba, right? So let's always make sure that we acknowledge those movement lawyers who have been on the front lines. But thank you to the Panthers who being here today. We want to get to our first section. As we talked about earlier, we had a phenomenal opportunity to also engage folks who were from afar, but who provided a video for Mumia Abu-Jamal on behalf of his birthday. This first set of videos comes to us from 3 warriors in our midst as well, who are scholar, warriors, and teachers, people who have really fought not only for Mumia Abu-Jamal, but against imperialism, right? Against neocolonialism. These are individuals who we love because of their work. We're talking about Vijay Prashad, Laura Whitehorn, and Jenipher with the Leonard Peltier Coalition. Let's get to our first video. As we're doing that as well, our brother Basim is gonna be going around. Donation time. Donation time, if you can, all right? Now, I know that I'm in the pulpit, but I'm just saying, if you're able to, please, cash is welcome, but also we can do Venmo by way of Mumia Money. That's MUMIA Money. And then just hit us up if you have any other questions about PayPal or Zelle. We could do it all. But the brother's gonna go around to collect some donations, please, if you're able to provide anything that will go towards today's program and project with the speakers, with the organizing, and with most importantly, for Mumia Abu-Jamal. If you're able to, our brother's coming around to make those collections. Thank you very much in advance. The Venmo is Mumia Money, correct? Mumia Money. Mumia Money is the Venmo. Thank you. Video, please. Thank you.
Comrade Mumia Abu-Jamal, happy birthday. You're 70 years old. You've outlived so many of our heroes. Frantz Fanon died at 36, incredibly young. Lenin died in his 50s. Marx died in his 60s. So did Kwame Nkrumah, 64 years old. But you are 70, a wise man. I've often said of you, Mumia, that you are in prison. That's true. Imprisoned by a nasty, brutish empire. You are in prison. But you are the freest man in the United States because your brain is free. They've never been able to incarcerate your brain. When Antonio Gramsci, the great Italian Marxist, was being sentenced to prison by the fascist judge, the judge said, I don't want his brain to work for 20 years. Gramsci, of course, went to prison, in prison, on scraps of paper with bits of pencil and bits of pen and bits of nib. Gramsci wrote thousands and thousands of pages, which were later published as his prison notebooks. An immense contribution to our struggles, which continue to be studied till this day. The judge said, I don't want his brain to work for 20 years. His brain not only worked while he was in prison, but continues to work with us today, because he's thinking with us as we think with him. In the same way, when they put you behind bars, they thought, we now have Mumia Abu-Jamal in prison. Mumia Abu-Jamal, his brain is going to be incarcerated. They held your body in prison. They mistreated your body. They treated you poorly. They treated you as you didn't deserve to be treated. A human being, a bright light, does not deserve to be in prison. But that's what they did to you. They put your body inside a cage. But your brain, your mind has expanses, multitudes, traveled everywhere, thought about everything, wrote about everything. Mumia, the contributions that you have made through the Prison Radio Project and other project, your writings, your speeches, your book reviews, your constant intervention into the decadence of the US imperial project, the decadence of that project, the inability of that project to produce for itself anything of consequence except violence and hatred, a project that is now unraveling as you still sit in prison. Nonetheless, your brain, your intelligence, right through this period of your physical incarceration was never held inside that cell. It roamed free. It captivated millions of people, that it continues to captivate them. They thought that they put you into a prison cell. In fact, they made a great mistake, a grave mistake. This cell sharpened your analysis, sharpened your understanding, and brought large numbers of people to a consciousness of what this system does. This system, this brutal, repugnant system, which cannot see itself free of its roots in chattel slavery, hideous idea that people can be treated as property. It cannot see itself beyond that. It's unable to unearth itself from those roots. And yet there are so many gardeners, so many people trying to weed the territory of the United States. You yourself part of that entire team of weeders trying to uproot the system from those roots, hideous roots inside the system of chattel slavery, inside the system of imperialist violence, a system that smells of napalm. Can't get that smell, that stench, the stench of Guantanamo Bay, of Abu Ghraib prison. Can't get the stench of waterboarding out of the system. The system has to be uprooted. It is this system with that smell that refuses to allow you to walk free, even as your mind soars above the capacity of the people who hold you in prison. Brother Mumia Abu-Jamal, my comrade, my friend, 70 years old, celebrate your life, celebrate your age. Hope to see you out of prison within the next few years. Hope to celebrate you together. Warm hug, warm embrace, warm love, one love to you, comrade Mumia Abu-Jamal.
Happy birthday, Mumia. This is Laura Whitehorn, former anti-imperialist political prisoner and a member of Release Aging People in Prison, RAPP campaign, wishing you, on behalf of all of us, a very happy birthday and a very soon release from prison. So many people love you and are celebrating you around the world today, including every member of RAPP. Recently, we traveled with other formerly incarcerated people and advocates and met with officials of the United Nations in Geneva, in New York City, in California, And as a result of a series of meetings, the UN and different bodies of the UN have now written to the United States saying that life without parole is death by incarceration, and that life without parole sentences should be abolished. These long sentences serve no purpose other than to repress struggle, which of course is what you represent, the struggle that cannot be repressed. We know that these human rights violations are going on around the world, certainly in Palestine. We join with people around the world not only in fighting for human rights and liberation, but in celebrating you. As we know, as long as there is struggle, there will be political prisoners, but as long as there is struggle, there will always be hope. And Mumia, your voice represents that for millions and millions of people, and we know that you will be free. We are all dedicated to your freedom and to wishing you a happy birthday. We love you.
Peace and greetings on behalf of the Leonard Peltier community, including the Ad Hoc Committee and the Mass Incarceration Committee of the National Lawyers Guild. We wish you a happy 70th birthday, Brother Mumia. We stand with you in power, strength, love, and solidarity. Brother Mumia, I am personally grateful for your work with respect to jailhouse lawyers and helping to pave the way for movement lawyers like myself and many, many others. Unconquered still, unconquered still. We stand in victory with you until it's won. Free all political prisoners, free them all. Happy birthday, Brother Mumia. Blessings.
Give it up again, y'all. Free Leonard, right? Free Leonard Peltier. Free Leonard Peltier and all political prisoners. I want to bring up our comrade who's been diligently working with us and really around the East Coast and around the country. We've been talking about, the importance of free Palestine. And so the Samadoun, Palestinian Prisoner Network and Solidarity Network has been powerful, and they've been doing some phenomenal work for a long, long time. And I can tell you from having visited Palestine myself with an important delegation about 6 years ago and seen on the front lines in cities like Haifa and Ramallah and Hebron and East Jerusalem, seeing it up close, you're reminded of why this important work of Samadoun is so important. And so I want to bring them up. And then also I want to give an announcement for the New York folks. After he speaks, the New York folks, their bus will be ready to leave. So for New York people, just know that. We thank you for coming here and being here with us all day today. Thank y'all, New York folks. I want to personally thank Gil for helping to coordinate things in their city. Shout out to Gil. And really the whole Free Mumia NYC campaign and movement who's been supporting Mumia Abu-Jamal for a long time. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Nita. Thank you, Betsy Mickle, and so many others who are here today. Gwen, Jacqueline, all you all, thank you so much for just your consistent efforts week in and week out. Thank you all. Free Palestine, y'all. Free Mumia Abu-Jamal. Samadoun.
Hello. I just want to thank everyone for being here. I've been anxious about when I'm going to speak because I didn't want to be very early because you haven't heard the other speakers. But now I'm very upset at how many people went on before me and how many people I'm going to have to live up to. The amazing speeches that we've heard all night, these people whose name precedes them. And that's part of one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight. I wanted to talk about Mumia, and I really appreciated how many people were talking about Palestine tonight, and how that was the main focus. It's really important, like Mumia was saying, to give movements their time. When it's time to focus on this, we focus on this. It's really, really useful, and it's something we always try to do at Samadoun. We always focus on all different movements whenever it's their time. We always try to highlight all the different political prisoners here in the US, in the Middle East, in France, everywhere in the world. And one of the things I wanted to talk about with Mumia is that there's a quote by Kevin Rashid Johnson, another political prisoner here in the US, and another writer, a brilliant writer, where he says, Mumia isn't free because we're not free. And that's the thing we always have to remember with this kind of stuff, because it's easy to come out to an event like this and then go home and think, my work is done. You know, once a year you go to Mumia's birthday. That's nothing. And I don't mean to say, you know, this isn't important, it's crucial, but this is one day. There's 364 other days. What are you doing that other time? What are you doing? You got a free hour over here, free 15 minutes. How are you finding a way to work this into your daily life? And the thing that we find the most important in Samidoun is getting to know the prisoners, remembering them, getting to know their lives. A lot of people talk about Mumia, but they don't know much about his life. They know Mumia the prisoner, but before he was a prisoner, he was out and he was doing work. And like we've heard about, his journalism was amazing because he let the people speak. That's what he did. And because he was so dedicated to it. I was reading about Mumia in preparation for this speech, and I was just surprised at how much I didn't know. And I do these kind of speeches, I always try to include Mumia because he's so important. But still, every time I learn more and more. There's an endless trove of information just on this one person. And we can learn how to emulate him by studying his history. If you look at Mumia, his journalism was so powerful from such a young age that he was being followed by the FBI. He was being profiled by all different people, and he was being targeted constantly. Not only that, he was driven out of a ton of different journalism jobs. He eventually had to become a cab driver. And that's part of what led to this whole situation in the first place. That's where the frame-up happened. You know, it was because he was a late-night cab driver to make ends meet. So that's the kind of spirit that we should be emulating. We should be so dedicated to the truth that if we lose our job, that's okay. We get a second job. We do something maybe we don't want to do. He doesn't want to be a cab driver. He wants to be a journalist, but he wants to be a journalist for the people so badly that he'll sacrifice everything. And that's the spirit that we always want to get across. That's the spirit that we want to take with us, because that's why these prisoners are behind bars, because they fought for us day in and day out. And the thing that would free them is if we were more like them. We have to get to know them. If you look at Mumia's life, you also find that he was, at one point, very innocent-minded. He didn't really understand what was happening. He went with some of his comrades, and they protested. They protested George Wallace. And they went in, and they were shouting and yelling him down, and then they were beaten by the white racists in the crowd. There was a whole crowd of white racists, obviously, because it's George Wallace. And Mumia yelled out to a cop. He saw a cop, and he said, "Help, I'm being beaten." And that cop came over and kicked him in the face. And Mumia says, "I want to thank that cop because he kicked me right into the Black Panther Party." And so it's easy when you hear all these people speak, people who are living martyrs, right, who have dedicated their life to the struggle, to feel, I could never be like that. But here's Mumia, right? He's saying, oh, this cop, come help me. He learns, you know, he learns in practice. We all learn in practice. There are no born revolutionaries. Revolutionaries are made. It's a practical process, day in and day out, confronting injustice. And then what is your response to that injustice? Are you so focused on yourself? Are you, oh, woe is me, I'm dealing with this. What about everyone else? What about everyone dealing with it? I mean, Mumia is obviously constantly being the target of racism. But what does he do? He focuses on MOVE. He focuses on other things happening in Philly. He's not making it all about himself. He's focusing on everyone. He's trying to make it a collective struggle. And still, to this day, I mean, we just heard him on the phone. Mumia doesn't talk about himself. He talks about everyone else and everywhere else. It's that spirit of martyrdom, like we have in Palestine. That's what gets people to that apex of human struggle, to be so dedicated that their whole life is for the people. The director of the prison radio, Noel Hanrahan, she says, you know how good of a journalist you are by how uncomfortable you make the people in power. And that's a really important thing for us to keep in mind. When we say names, how uncomfortable does it make people in power? Even sometimes just people on the streets. A couple of years ago, we were at a protest here for Mumia, and this guy just came out and ran over, and he's like, cop killer, cop killer. He's yelling and he's shouting us down. People are still mad about it. People are still trying to take that complete nonsense fabrication into practice and believe it. That's how important this case is. It's still on people's minds. And that's why we also try to focus on the prisoners in Palestine and do the same thing with their cases. We say, Walid Daqqa, who recently passed away, a Palestinian prisoner who's one of the most important prisoners in Palestine because of his contributions to the movement, because he was, just like Mumia, constantly talking to the people, constantly getting things out there. They even had a child. He even had a child while he was in prison. He was constantly trying to find a way to continue the struggle from within prison. So that's the main thing I want us to do, right? When we get out of here, continue the struggle. Find a way every day. I'm sure you have sometimes 30 minutes or 15 minutes or an hour. Watch a documentary on Mumia, learn some more, try to educate your friends, try to take these people's lives and their practice into your consciousness every single day. And so I just want to wrap up and leave you with a quote from the chairman of the PFLP, Ahmed Sadat, and is a political prisoner right now in Palestine, and whose writing is constantly at the forefront of our struggle. He says, from Ansar to Attica to Lan Maison, the prison is not only a physical space of confinement, but a site of struggle of the oppressed confronting the oppressor. Whether the name is Mumia Abu-Jamal, Walid Daqqa, or George Ibrahim Abdullah, political prisoners behind bars can and must be a priority for our movements. These names illustrate the continuity of struggle against our collective enemies. They're legacies of organizing that reach back to the anti-colonial liberation movements of the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s to today. Thank you.
Yes, yes, give it up again, give it up again, give it up again, give it up again. What's the call? What's the call? From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. Amazing. As we continue into moving into our final speakers, something that I wanted to just name and touch on that I appreciated that I heard earlier was how Mumia is, not was, right, is such a major influence for teaching our young people how the spirit of rebellion and resistance, it's inherent in us, right? I know that because I have a little one here who practices her resistance daily, right? Steps into her political power. Comrade Gigi, as we call her in some circles. But right, just talking about what Mumia represented so much, right? When he was organizing in front of Benjamin Franklin High School, right? Talking to young people, knowing the crap they were getting in the schools was not teaching them their history or their inherent worth to resisting the state and the system that they're in, and talking about how important it was to see young people excited to leave their classrooms because they knew the real lessons were in the streets, right? And we know Mumia has taught us so much that our work, our study, and our lessons are in the streets, and that it's up to us to always tell the truth because we know the media will not do it for us. Right, they will sell us the neoliberal, the imperialist language, right, the fascist language of oppression. But we know that it's up to us to have our own media, our own content, our own images, our own messages, right, our own T-shirts that represent the truth. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome the brother whom we know from Black Power Media to come on in and drop this knowledge on us.
I love y'all, and I respect what the sister said, but I done did too much damn work to be relegated to Black Power Media. Black Power Media been around 3 years. I've been organizing for 37 years. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you, sister, not a diss towards you. I'm just saying, like, sometimes folks, sometimes folks look at you like a YouTuber, as one of the young folks said. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't me. I'm an organizer. I'm a freedom fighter. I'm Molotov, I'm scorched earth. You understand what I'm saying? So don't get it fucked up because y'all see me on the screen. I'm saying that, and I'm talking like this today because of the fact that Mumia must be free. Did y'all hear what I said? Mumia must be free. Am I wrong? And the last hour or so with Noelle Hanrahan, I want to give it up to her because of the fact that she was kind enough to invite me out there to go see a brother that I started organizing. One of the reasons why I started organizing in 1987 at 16 years old. We didn't talk about, man, it's messed up about being in jail. We didn't just have a whole bunch of political chatter. We do that on Black Power Media, right? We do that on RSTV. I wanted to talk to Mumia. I didn't come in the capacity of a journalist. I came in the capacity of a brother, of a comrade, of a fellow freedom fighter. That's why I was there. And you know what? I'm gonna share a little bit about what we talked. You know what we talked about? You know what we did? We laughed a lot. We talked shit. I ain't know Mumia talk so much shit. I'm just saying it just like that. There's no other way to describe it. Mumia is a funny, funny guy. He's a brilliant man, but he's a funny guy. He has an excellent sense of humor. And I like for my comrades, folks like Chairman Fred and Deruba and all of them, we laugh when we get together. We ain't just walk around looking angry with red, black, and green drawers on. We enjoy ourselves. We talk shit. We probably talk about some of y'all, because some of y'all on some bullshit. We ain't gonna talk about that right now. Some of y'all know damn well you can be doing better. Right? Now, I didn't come here to tell you that because you already know that. I ain't come to tell you what you already know. I ain't Captain Obvious. But at the end of the day, it's gonna take more than us just showing up for an event. It's gonna take some action. It's gonna take some groundwork. I'm looking here today, and for many of us, when we were younger, we looked at a lot of these political prisoners as our heroes. I remember there was a poster, Set the Captives Free, remember that? And it had all of these different comrades on it. And I was looking at that poster recently, and the majority of those comrades are now ancestors. Many of them was released, and some of y'all claim victory because of the fact that they got a compassionate release. Don't claim no victory when it's a compassionate release. We're grateful that they get released, but don't act like they got out because of your ass. We keep pleading on the mercy of the state. I looked out here today and I saw Sundiata Acoli. I looked out here today and I saw Deruba. I looked out here today, I saw folks like Bob Boyle, right, the movement attorney. I looked out here today and I just saw so many beautiful faces from so many different places, right? People who undoubtedly love our people. You have to be a special type of person to risk it all. You have to be a special type of person. Mumia Abu-Jamal, when I left that prison yesterday, I was charged. I was charged. And we was cracking jokes, we was talking shit. Deruba said, hey man, tell Mumia I love him and tell him he's still a baby, what he said here today. So I told him, I said, hey man, Deruba said, you still a baby. He laughed and he said, Deruba's just mad because I said he was loquacious. And then we was leaving and whatnot, you know, we embraced and everything. I'm walking. He said, oh yeah, one more thing. I said, what's up? He said, tell Deruba I'm gonna fuck him up. And we just started laughing even louder because of the fact that this is, you know, we get used to the man on these commentaries. You get used to the brilliance of the man around the books and all that. That's beautiful. But we are human. And as Che talked about, to paraphrase, he said, what? Revolution is an act of what? Love. That's why we here, right? Now, some of y'all are still caught up that I came up here in the first part and I start cursing. I see some of y'all got your nose turned up. I don't give a shit. You can't mess with me. I just look like this. Don't get it twisted. I don't care about a church unless we got a Nat Turner tradition in that church. This is a house. America's a house, but America's a burning house. I met with the French delegation here earlier today. And I was grateful because of the fact that one of the brothers spoke English. he was translating. And the rest, they had questions, they had comments, so on and so forth. But it's like they traveled many miles to get here. And they was here the last 20 years, as far as I know. I remember they were at the 20th year anniversary when we came down. I mean, excuse me, his 50th birthday. And I remember the 60th birthday. And here we are, Mumia is 70 years old. Mumia went to prison, that case took place. I was 11 years old. I just turned 11. That happened 4 days after my 11th birthday. That's how long he's been. I'm 53, I'll be 54 this year. The man's been locked up since I was 11. Y'all understand what I'm saying? My oldest grandchild is 16. You understand what I'm saying? This is the reality of it. I'm happy today because I see so many beautiful faces. It's like a family reunion. But we must not lose sight of why we're here. A lot of y'all came up to me today, yeah, we love what y'all doing on Black Power Media, so on and so forth. We're grateful. We're grateful for that. But like I said, we gotta be more than just the men on the mic. That's all cute. But when we get off that stage, when we leave here, we saw these veteran Panthers and whatnot, and we saw all these great speakers, so on and so forth. But guess what? We heard Mumia, but Mumia is still up in that damn coal mine. He's literally in a coal mine. This is like Pennsylvania, and it's a coal town. If anybody, that don't know, I'm just telling you straight up. So folks are asking like, well, how is he? What condition he is? The man's been locked up damn near 43 years. You tell me what condition he's supposed to be in. Huh? But I say today that he was in great spirits. He's a beautiful man. And like I said, he was such an inspiration to me, and he will continue to be. But right now, I come to you saying that we have to do better. As Nkrumah talked about, we got to put aside our petty differences. But we also have to be clear that counterinsurgency is alive and well. Counterinsurgency is alive and well. We talk about COINTELPRO in passing. We talk about like it was a thing to pass, the 70s and the 60s and so on and so forth. It's a lot of folks who are looking to derail movement right now. Right now, I hate to sound like Nas said hip hop was dead. The movement is damn near dead. Because some of y'all, I don't know where the hell you moving to. Movement is about action. And movement is not just about, I fed some people some funky bread and some jelly and some sandwiches, and we went on Facebook and we talked about, oh, what a great job we did. Movement is not about reinventing or remixing the 60s. We have to create our own legacy. We have to fight to get folks like Veronza Bowers out. We have to fight to get folks like Kamal Siddiqui out. We got to fight to continue to see our brothers and sisters come home, not when it's 5 days before they're scheduled to die, not till they're on their last breath and you can hardly feel their pulse in their bodies. That's played out. That's played out. So I ask you all, how many of y'all ready for revolution? How many of y'all ready for revolution? Clap your goddamn hands if you're ready for revolution. Some of you putting your fists up like this. I'm like, where am I at? I'm wrapping up. But if you're serious about our people's liberation movement, you'll look at folks like Mumia, you look at Leonard Peltier, who has been locked up 48 years, has every kind of medical condition you could think of, blind. I mean, I had his attorneys and folks on our show recently, and she was running off so much stuff what was wrong with him. I was waiting to say he's also 8 months pregnant. That's how many medical situations he has. Everything's jacked up. You understand what I'm saying? And we're sitting back with the T-shirts and all that. We have to take this to another level. We have to organize. We have to build a united front, and we have to move with force. And until then, and only then, we will be victorious. I love y'all, I appreciate y'all, and I hope that everything I said you understood in a way of love and not of arrogance or not of disrespect. Peace to y'all. Give it up again, y'all. Give it up again. Kalonji Changa, y'all. Long-time organizer and revolutionary all around the world. I remember we were having the LOX conference here in Philadelphia. He will always come up for that too. Rest in power to Mama Akoso Sabri. If you know, you know. I want to bring up one of the fierce, long-time revolutionaries. In '97, we had the Million Women March in Philadelphia that brought 2.5 million to Philadelphia along the Parkway. We got to understand the historical significance of that. So '95, we know that the minister brings more than 2 million to DC for the Million Man March. And the sister here in Philadelphia made a decision to galvanize organizers, men and women alike, to say we needed a space for the women around the world to gather. And it becomes a historic moment in time in '97. To this day, I meet people who say, I was there at the Million Women March in Philadelphia. And she leaves a legacy not only of being a longtime supporter of Mumia Abu-Jamal, but also of the Move 9 and all the work for Black liberation. So give it up, y'all, for Empress Phile. With the RBG, of course.
Ashe. I want to thank first the organizers for this incredible event, and always my sister Pam Africa, who from day one was supportive of the historic and original Million Woman March. And I'm so blessed to be able to stand here today to be able to bring truth to power, because there's a lot of information that people do not know. And one of those things is the Million Woman March was greatly inspired by, my name is Mumia Abu-Jamal. Now, why do I say that? While many talk about Mumia in the context of being a political prisoner, in the context of being, of course, a Black Panther, I can talk about Mumia in the context of being in the Black community here in Philadelphia. We knew him as he walked our streets, sat on our steps, ate with us. That's the Mumia we knew, loved, and when we heard he was almost murdered, we went into complete action. Committees were formed immediately in the city. We met at a place called the AFCOM Learning Center, where many of the Black events and things of that nature were being held. And we met regularly in preparations for the trial. And I watched Black folks from all over the city come in support of Mumia Abu-Jamal. Because remember, he was very popular then. He was not only for us the voice of the voiceless, he was for the enemy one of the 10 most up-and-coming people in Philadelphia, as the Philadelphia Magazine indicated. That was clue number one. That's when we should have realized something was maybe we need to look at closer. Folks came often for the meetings, but guess what? And as the brother just said, Philly is cold. You hear me? Philly is cold. We have proof of that. The first capital of the United States is Philadelphia. It's the home of the boule. So that means you got a whole nother energy going on up in here. But going back to our community here, came together, but once the verdict was read, once Mumia was found guilty, the Negroes in Philly went like this. So it's really wonderful to see kind of things come back around. I knew Mumia as a student, so hail up to students. I was a student when I met Mumia. He used to come to my campus, and record his independent media called Black Times Audio. He was a journalist on the radio program or the newspaper or whatever, but he always did his own independent media. So he would literally come to our campus, record it, and then send it out to independent underground media people and entities. I used to sit and watch Mumia. And that's why one of the reasons now I've been doing radio for 16 straight years. New Day, Resurrection, and Liberation. And it has a certain type of tone to it. Because in watching Mumia, I learned excellence. I learned diction. I learned how to, what he would do when I would watch him, he would write something and then he'd read it back. He would tape it, and then if he didn't like it, he'd rewind it, he'd read it again until it had a timing, till it had a sharpness, and so forth. This is what Mumia would do. And as you now know, this is what he's always done. We've been playing Mumia Abu-Jamal commentaries every time they come out, ongoing. So I know time is limited, so I'm going to give you action stuff, because a lot of people have shared their information. So let me give you what we call kazi, work, assignment. Other speakers lend to what we're going to do, the brother from Palestine, etc. Well, here's what we're going to tell you. And by the way, before Mumia was sentenced, I was allowed to go visit him when he was at Holmesburg. Before the trial even started, I was a legal runner that would come on the streets to gather up information from the street level. And I was pregnant with that young man right there. And so, yes, so when we say youth, we see the fruition of that, and also the continuation, the consistency, which is what Mumia always showed us. But again, quickly, point of action. So the Million Woman World March is coming. It'll happen in October. For those that do not know, the Million Woman March original did what? Made sure that Sister Pam Africa, that the issue of MOVE could be brought to the masses, with an estimated 2.5 million physically and 10 million virtually. It also made sure that the issue of the MOVE 9 was to be brought forward, because Sister Ramona Africa spoke. So we literally was able to share with the generation who wasn't that familiar with either MOVE or Mumia, but also Sister Sada, because a message was read from Sister Sada in English and in Spanish. So now to fast forward, we have not gotten the support of most in the city or anywhere else, because we've never had a grant, we've never had corporate sponsoring, and because we will never bow down, and as Brother Kalonji has just put it so beautifully, we've never kissed nobody's behind. Never, under no circumstances. So we've been whiteballed, and that's okay, because again, like with Mumia, we learned from some very important lessons, and that is to make sure that you learn how to fight nonstop. So with that said, for Mumia, this is what we say today. We've connected with a group of young folks called the Hip Hop Federation. They're all over the country. And we gave them an assignment yesterday. And we said, your assignment is to create a primer. For those who are a little older, y'all know what a primer is? Okay, I'm gonna break it down for you. It's really like a preliminary kind of thing that helps people to know information or facts or whatever in a very simplistic manner. So the young students are now charged with creating a primer or a prereq for Mumia, about Mumia. They have that assignment. So they're doing research and evaluating what things to write best. Second, today we announced we are launching the Mumia Abu-Jamal School of Journalism. What you said? You said you bad? You said you bad, Brother Kalonji? You said you bad? Join the club. I know. So, students and anyone that wants to learn journalism, research, reporting, author, writing, whatever, first phase is studying Mumia. And by the way, the last time I was blessed to talk with Mumia, I asked him about this, and he laughed, because he was like, oh, yeah. And we're like, no, we want to do this. And he said, okay. So when he is ready, we will do correspondence courses with him. But the beginner thing is the students will have to read Mumia's works, obviously. And again, from there, we're able to not only report on what's going on in your communities, or the things that's relevant to us, but also to keep Mumia's information out there. So this, again, is what we're getting ready to do. And if you want more information, our website is under construction. It is www.official Million Woman World March. It is not going to be in Philly, .com. It's not going to be in Philly. We're taking it to another city until things change in this city, because a lot of money was generated here, and there's been little to no appreciation for that, and a lot of misinformation and etc. So we're taking it to Washington, D.C. Hey, Brother Akbar! And my condolences to this brother right here. I'm just amazed to see you. If I may just share real. Okay, brother's grandson was murdered yesterday. So when you talk about commitment, he's here, coming in from DC. Again, www.officialmillionwomanmarch.com. Love you, thank you. Free Mumia! Free Mumia! Free Mumia now!
Thank you. Please support Empress Phile and the new Mumia Abu-Jamal School of Journalism. Hopefully some of you have been able to watch a podcast on YouTube called The Classroom and the Cell, or possibly even read the book. Maybe you've been able to read the writings of his daily YouTube, but more importantly than that, as Kalonji alluded to, building institutions by way of Uncle Bobby's Coffee and Books, authoring several books himself, speaking on behalf of Mumia Abu-Jamal many times over the years, on behalf of all the press people everywhere. And I can remember, if I can just share this as I'm bringing them up, being on a plane with this brother, coming from Palestine, and everybody was sleeping and everybody was watching movies. This brother's at his seat, typing away. I kept looking over like through the seat, like what is he typing? He's typing. And we landed in New York City, and he said, yeah, I got to be at the UN in about an hour. And that would become a very unforgettable moment in time as we watched this brother give this speech and share those words from the river to the sea. But in the spirit of boldness and humanity, speak truth to power in the most sincere and authentic way. He's a brother of ours, he's a brother of yours, and he's committed at every turn. Even when he's got multiple things going on, he's going to be here. And so with that being said, family, what we're going to do is bring up Marc Lamont Hill.
Free the land. That's a mic right here. I know it's about time to go home, and I apologize for being here so late. It's been a crazy day in about 4 cities. But I couldn't not be here for my brother, Mumia Abu-Jamal. This is a moment of multiple things. First, this is a moment of remembrance. Mumia has made it to the age of 70. That is a victory in and of itself. They didn't want Mumia live to be 70 or 60 or 50 or 40? The prison that he's in, the prisons that he's been in, the dungeons that he's been forced to live in inside of SCI this and SCI that have been designed and constructed like they have been for everybody else to kill us, to destroy our spirits, to destroy our minds, to destroy our families, to destroy our communities, and ultimately to destroy ourselves, our bodies, our lives. And Mumia is a testimony to what happens when you struggle, when you resist, and when you fight. But you don't do it as an individual, you do it as a collective. Mumia's 70th birthday is a celebration for him, but it's a celebration for every single person that has rolled up their sleeves, put their hand to the plow, and done the work of making sure that the state keeps their hands off of our brother. And I see so many people here, whether it's Betsy, whether it's Pam, whether it's Gabe, whether it's Johanna. I can name so many people, Brother Mike, so many people here. In an individual effort, even at the level of resistance, we only win when we struggle together. We don't need no celebrity activists. We don't need no brands. We need reputations. We need people who are willing to struggle and sacrifice for the movement. And that's what Mumia has always done. I always sort of tease Mumia about the books he writes. Because he writes, first of all, he writes so many of them. And I wrote a book with Mumia, and people think I write fast. I send Mumia something, he sent it back in like 2 days, the whole chapter done. And I said to him, why do you not write about yourself more? You wrote one book that kind of gets at your experience. This is somebody who's been railroaded, somebody who's been lied on, somebody who has been, from the very moment he entered those handcuffs, been completely, not just mistreated, but been a model for how the United States picks and chooses who they want to prosecute, picks and chooses when they want to use the Constitution, picks and chooses when they believe in justice, because for every single time we've gone to that courthouse, there has been a Mumia exception. Every single time. He could have written books on how the Constitution has failed him. He could have written books on how judges pretend to be impartial, but people like Judge Sabo decide that they're going to be the judge, jury, and executioner. They're going to be the prosecutor and the defense attorney. They're going to be the decider of somebody's fate, even if it flies in the face of everything that America says it's supposed to be. He saw that. He could have written books about that. He could have signed away scripts to have movies made about him. But what he did instead is spend his life fighting for other people. He's written far more about the Move 9 than he has himself. He's written far more about the atrocity that happened on Osage Avenue than he's written about himself. He's written far more about those brothers who don't have death row, who don't have life sentences, but who still need a jailhouse lawyer. He's written about that. Why? Because Mumia said it ain't about me. It's about us. And so it's a day of celebrity, but it's a day of remembrance, but it's also a day of celebration, but it's also a day of purification. We got to purify our commitment to struggle. We got to remind ourselves of why we got here, because all of us can get caught up in this. All of us can get caught up in who get the mic last, who get the biggest name, who get the biggest shout out, who gets the shout out in the book, who gets the shout out at the rally, who gets the shout out on the rap verse, who gets this, who gets that. We all can get, I know I can, we all can get caught up in that. But when we come back to the fact that this man has been on death row for most of his adult life and now sits in slow death row with a life sentence that he does not deserve, when we look back at that, we got to remember that our commitment ain't to us, it's to them. And it isn't just about Mumia. Mumia is a model for a state that continues to lock up people for their political positions. A state that continues to have more political prisoners than the so-called axes of evil, the so-called bad nations. We talk all that stuff. We do all that red baiting. We talk all that stuff about China and Cuba, all these lies. But at the very same time, we continue to cage more people than anybody else in the world. He is a marker of that crisis. Today's also a day of victory, though. Because sometimes when you struggle and you don't win, you can start to think about this like it ain't worth struggling for no more. I'll never forget, we were at the Constitution Center. You were there, you were there, you were there, you were there, you were there. We celebrated Mumia getting off death row. And some white leftists pulled me aside after I left the Constitution Center. He said, "What's wrong with you, man? What are you up here celebrating Mumia for? He's still on slow death row," which we all agreed on. I mean, he's still got life. How are you celebrating anything? Shame on all of you all for celebrating. He's still got life. This isn't a victory, this is a loss. I was like, damn, that's heavy. I started feeling bad, Johanna, for feeling good. I was ashamed of myself for being proud that people like Pam, the long distance runners, had got him free off of death row. I said, damn, here I am thinking that we done did something and we ain't did nothing. About a month later, I went to Griffen, visiting Mumia. And I went to see him and I gave him a hug. It's the first time I hadn't seen him at SCI Green on death row. And I told him, I said, Mumia, yo, I gotta tell you something. I like to tell Mumia because he's smarter than me, he read more. So I was like, I gotta tell him that, you want to tell your old heads you got something. I was like, yo, bro, I'm in on this. I found out, I thought about it, man, this ain't no victory. This is a loss. We ain't did nothing. Mumia looked at me and he said, shit. He said, anybody who say that ain't never been on death row. He said, we did a whole book together and we did it behind concrete and steel. Now I gave you a hug for the first time. He said, I hadn't seen Wadia and been able to kiss Wadia in years, but I could do it. His beloved wife, may she rest in peace. He said, I could do it because of what y'all did. I got grandchildren who I could hug for the first time. I was doing 23-1 for most of my life. I was deprived of human contact, and now I got it. What do you mean it wasn't a victory? Thank you. Because of your struggle, we can fight to live another day and live to fight another day so that one day I could be free, but more importantly, we can all be free. Celebrate the victories. Celebrate the victories. If not for you and you and you and you, Mumia wouldn't be here celebrating the 70th. And maybe if not for Mumia, we wouldn't be here right now with the political clarity to know that we got more work to do. Because it's also a day of re-energization. I'm going to make up a word, Jesse Jackson, re-energization. We got to get re-energized for the next phase. Because we pat ourselves on the back, but we keep going. It's like we tell our kids at them 8th grade graduations, when they got the limos and the suits, cool, but you still got to go to high school. Still got work to do. If Mumia does not come home, or if, as my brother said, if Mumia comes home in some liberal, self-congratulatory stunt to bring our brothers and sisters home 1 week before they die, or 1 month before they die so that they can pretend that they had mercy, then we have not succeeded. Not because of the outcome, but because of our failure to keep fighting. The victory is in what? The struggle. And we will continue to struggle for Mumia. But we won't let Mumia become a celebrity prop either, because he don't want that. We will fight for Mumia, but we will fight for every brother, sister, man, woman, and child that's inside of those dungeons right now, because every prisoner is a political prisoner in this white supremacist capitalist empire. And we're going to fight to free them all. Somebody say, free them all. Free them all. Free them all. And so that's the work we got to do. But as I said, the celebration ain't individual. The remembrance ain't individual. And so the struggle can't be individual. We got to organize. Organized people defeat organized power every time. So let's organize. Let's join movements. We ain't got to start an organization. Everybody ain't got to start something. I go places, 50 black people in 25 organizations. Everybody president and vice president. That's not our struggle. That's not our tradition. Our tradition is organized, fighting, resisting. Somebody might be in front, but somebody else got to be organizing. Somebody got to be bailing somebody out of jail. Somebody got to be doing political education. Somebody got to be doing confrontation. Somebody got to be doing study. Somebody got to be doing healing. Somebody got to be doing praying. All of it matters in this struggle. So find your place. Find your role, submerge your ego, remember our ancestors, and continue to fight for the legacy of our brother, Mumia Abu-Jamal. Brick by brick.
Give it up, y'all, for Mike Lamont Hill, y'all. So we are at the end. We want to thank Waters Memorial AME Church, Pastor Atkins, for being such a phenomenally gracious host. Thank you, Pastor Atkins. Thank you, Brother Ajane, First Gentleman Ajane. Thank you so much for being just incredible. Thank you, everybody that's been watching on live stream for the past really all day. Thank you all who've been watching on live stream. We're gonna, as people are leaving, show the final videos, but please make your way out. But they will be playing on your way out because we know people like to talk and walk, but make your way out, all right? We also will have vouchers. Raise your hand in the back. We got vouchers for the cars if you have them. If you need it, they'll be outside. We also have COVID tests as well. So if you want a COVID test on your way out, we'll have those available to you all as well. We understand that as well. Final word from my sister Saudia.
Thank you. It has been amazing to absorb up so much wisdom and power in this room. Thank you all for coming out tonight to celebrate our freedom fighter who deserves to come home and should be home. Thank you, everyone. I saw Mama Pam also had a Free Aunt t-shirt on. We got to say Free Aunt, someone who spoke so powerfully always about Mumia. Free Aunt. Free Aunt. Thank you, Hate 56. Sonny. Okay. The Minister of Archiving and Documentation. Thank you to everyone tonight. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you to you all. And be well. Free Mumia. Free Mumia. Free them all. Free them all. Free them all.
So this is the last few videos, y'all. We got a video from Cornel West up there. But again, please make your way out as you're doing that. But we'll show the last few videos as people are walking out. Thank you so much. Be safe on your way home, y'all.
Good morning, Brother Mumia. It's almost 5 a.m. here in Little Rock on Wednesday, the 3rd day of April. But I wanted to, and I should tell you that I am an early riser, so this is 2 hours after I've awakened, but I wanted to get this video to you early in the day and make sure I got it over to Sister Julia Wright in adequate time so it can be part of the many messages that are wishing you well as you celebrate your 70th birthday. I want to add my congratulations to those of countless other people who around the world
we want you all to know
have been
that we had an opportunity to visit Mumia Abu-Jamal on death row.
Challenged by
he gave me one statement
educated
on
by
death
you,
row.
And
can you kill the volume for a second?
Supporting you.
He said to do what you
vindicated
are compelled to do.
From the
then do what you are able to do. Support the Million Women's March World International. Support the efforts that are going into free Mumia Abu-Jamal. And support the efforts to get a new legal direction and do things differently and watch the different results come in. Sheikh Imam Akbar, Washington, D.C. And power to the people. All power to the people. Assalamu alaikum and black power. Black power. Black power and a strong black military to black that call. Power to the people.
The people who should be calling for your release, both in Philadelphia and throughout the United States, but are not doing so because they are more in love with the American version of empire than they are with the notions of liberation and prophetic hope that you represent. I am proud to have read your works and have lended my small effort toward your release. And I am inspired by the fact that you keep trying. You are still trying to teach love and trying to teach hope and truth. You're trying to inspire and still trying to hope and still trying to find joy and still trying to overcome. Just as Sister Angela Davis is one of the great people I admire for trying, I admire you, Brother Mumia, for trying and refusing to surrender. You have been doing this for more than 40 years, and you have been doing this during half of that time that you on a formal death row status, and the other half you've been on a de facto death row, life without parole, which is death by incarceration. I commend you for refusing to surrender your prophetic voice behind bars, and I commend you for refusing to surrender your status as a love warrior in the face of so much hatefulness, bloodlust, bigotry, and devotion to empire. I made a couple of notes to myself because I wanted to make sure that I did not miss saying this. Your bravery, your grace, your fortitude, and your compassion are inspiring to me and countless others across the world, and they make you a prophet without equal, a prophet without peer, telling the truth from your place of confinement and incarceration, making you more free than others who refuse to speak truth, even when they have both opportunity to do so and an obligation to do so. So I pray God's blessings on you and hope that these words of greeting reach you with strength and with encouragement. We will continue, I will continue demanding your release from incarceration, your return to us. Brother, you are our brother in struggle, and you just continue to press onward. Continue to love onward. Continue to speak and write your truth. Continue to broadcast your word. From the Barbershop and Beauty Shop radio program at KABF 88.3, the voice of the people in Little Rock, Arkansas, Brother Zachary Crow and I speak your name. From New Millennium Church, the congregation I pastor in Little Rock, Arkansas, I speak your name. From the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference that I co-chair with Bishop Leah Daughtry and am proud to serve alongside Baba Jeremiah Wright and Mama Iva Carruthers and Brother Frederick Douglass Haynes III and so many wonderful love warriors, from the people who love you and know that you are a love warrior and a prophet without peer. Happy birthday, brother. You press on. You fight on. You live on. I look forward to seeing you outside, but continuing to advocate for you while you are inside, and God willing, I hope to visit you and we can share some conversation. But I will look forward to getting with you on the outside so we can do the liberation dance on the outside. And as the old folks said, sing How We Got Over, How We Got Over. My soul looks back and wonder how I got over. You're going to get over, brother. I look forward to celebrating that with you. Happy birthday. God be with you until we meet in person again. Bless you.
Sisters, brothers, and siblings, I so regret not being with you in person. So I wanted to virtually express my revolutionary solidarity with you all in the ongoing struggle to free our brother and comrade, Mumia Abu-Jamal. As someone who has had the incredible honor of visiting Mumia a number of times, starting in 1996, I never ceased to learn from his deep political insights on the global struggle. During my first visit, the first time I ever heard the term prison industrial complex was from Mumia. Despite being falsely imprisoned for almost 43 years, and many of those years on death row, and now dealing with declining health, Mumia has consistently and steadfastly always put the struggle first before himself, and therefore became known as the voice of the voiceless due to his powerful commentaries. Take his most recent one on the current genocide in Gaza that has taken center stage worldwide. Mumia demands an end to occupation and asks the questions, don't Palestinians deserve freedom, the right to exist, and statehood? This past April 17th was Palestinian Prisoners' Day to help call attention to the almost 10,000 Palestinian women, children, and men illegally detained and tortured for months and years by the Israeli apartheid state. And these are some of the same conditions that prisoners in this country face. So maybe we should have a U.S. Prisoners' Day to help call attention to the more than 2 million prisoners, including prisoners like Mumia, Leonard Peltier, and more, who the authorities want to cause a slow death by incarceration. And we say no to that. And let's call this U.S. Prisoners' Day on Mumia's birthday, because believe me, he would want such a day to be inclusive of prisoners oppressed by the same system of capitalism, occupation, and imperialism. I will end my remarks by requesting that we make Mumia more visible at the pro-Palestine protest with his formulations like IOF equals Israeli Death Force. This will help bring attention to who Mumia is and his relevance to this young, dynamic movement in solidarity with Palestine. And there is no better time to help bring attention to Mumia's case with these militant young activists by demanding on May Day, International Workers' Day, to declare, quote, workers support the Palestinian resistance and also to free Mumia, Leonard, and all political prisoners from the U.S. to Palestine. Thank you.
This is former Councilman Charles Barron, former State Assemblyman, and still a Black Panther to my heart, saying, free Mumia, and our birthday greetings to you, my brother. We're going to continue to fight. The best present we can give you is your freedom in a liberated Black community. Free Mumia, free them all.
Inez Barron here, wife of Charles Barron, saying we send you great, magnanimous birthday greetings. Glad to celebrate the birth of such a fantastic warrior, always fighting for the people. And we say that we're continuing to fight and to struggle on your behalf, fighting for your freedom. On behalf of Operation Power, we say free Mumia, and we say each day should be the day that we get the results and get the results that we want in terms of getting your freedom. We're believing it, we're fighting for it, and we shall succeed.
My dear brother Mumia Abu-Jamal, 70 years, happy birthday. You are one of the great public intellectuals and freedom fighters alive. Love you forever, my brother. Stay strong. God bless you.
Comrade Mumia Abu-Jamal, happy birthday. You're 70 years old. You've outlived so many of our heroes. Frantz Fanon died at 36, incredibly young. Lenin died in his 50s.